right, greetings. Hope you're having a fabulous day. I'm Ken Ludwig, and this is the Vibrant Living Hour on New Thought Media Network. I hope you're having a great day, whatever you're doing, wherever you are. Hope life is good. I know my life is good. Everything is absolutely just kind of clicking the way it's supposed to be clicking. And I'm glad you're here. Thank you for joining me. I do appreciate that. Let me turn on my comments here for anybody who has joined me and would like to ask a question, make a statement, join the conversation. I'm here. That's what we do. That's I'm all good with that. So I just got back this past weekend from a retreat, a business retreat, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about that today. I want to tell you about some things that I learned on this retreat. It was very interesting, and I also wanted to just touch on some other subjects. And I really want to first, I guess we'll go right to the old backup date, so that I can keep you guys posted on what's going on with my back and how it's progressing. Now, those of you who have been watching will know about this. Those of you who might be your first time, a month and a half ago now, I was experiencing some very uncomfortable back pain. I went to the doctor. I love my doctor. She's very much a Western medicine girl, but she understands me, and she's very good about uh, I was going to say allowing me, but she doesn't allow me to do anything. I do what I want to do, and she's okay with it. She'll give me the medical suggestion. And I'll ask her, what do I really need to accomplish here? She'll tell me what I need to accomplish, and then I will go about accomplishing it myself. So first thing she did was send me for x-rays. We come back with that I have some issues in my spine, or I'm experiencing some issues with my spine. Notice I'm trying to reword that so that I am not owning it. I'm languaging it in such a way as it is part of my experience, but it's not something I own. So I'm experiencing in my back some degenerating discs. I also have had some very painful sciatica. I've been experiencing some very painful sciatica. So we get the x-rays back, and it shows the disc thing. And there's also, I've experienced a little bit of slippage in my SI joints, my sacroiliac joints at the base of the spine where your spine joins your pelvis. And so all in all, contributing to some painful stuff. Now, she sent me to physical therapy. That was really, it's very interesting. Physical therapy was okay, wasn't great. But what I really did was I immediately went to what I know to go to. I went to Joe Dispenza's first book, Evolve Your Brain. And to make a long story short, in pages 15 through 30 of that book, he explains about the catastrophic accident he had during a triathlon where he was hit by a car. They were kind of on the bicycle portion. They were blending in with traffic, and somebody missed a signal on where the traffic was or what it was supposed to be doing. And next thing you know, Joe was hit by an SUV at 50 miles an hour that launched him off his bicycle. And in the end, just basically crushed his spine from T8, kind of in the middle of your spine, all the way down to L5, which is all the way to the base of your spine. Crushed it. He was given all kinds of diagnoses around operations that he was going to have. He needed to make a decision about the operations right away, because if he didn't, the bones would start to recalcify. If they did that, then the operations they were going to do to put rods in his back, they'd have to go through the front. Imagine that, to get to the back and make it right. Two different choices on the rods, blah, 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 blah. End of story is Joe had his friends carry him out of the hospital. And within 10 weeks, he was back on his feet, and he was seeing patients in his chiropractic clinic. And actually, he had been told that if he didn't have the operations, chances were he was never going to walk again. So I wanted to emulate Joe's methods. His methods were very much around nutrition, exercise, stretching, and very, very much around meditation and mental exercise and rebuilding his spine in his mind first. So I have set about rebuilding the discs in my spine. I refer to it as regenerating and rehydrating them. And I'm doing it by loving them during my meditation. And I set about trying to ease the pain and to correct the issues. Excuse me while I have a little drink here. So I started out on that pathway, but an issue that I had was I was in a lot of pain to the point where any kind of stretching, yoga, those kinds of movements were really kind of out of the question because I was in too much pain. I really couldn't get a sock on my right foot because I couldn't get my foot that close to my hands to put a sock on it. It was that simple. So enter my favorite plant medicine, plant nutrition, my CBD. CBD, in a nutshell, relieved the pain to the point where I could stretch. And I use 750 milligram CBD pretty much daily. I started using the 1500 milligram for the pain. Trust me when I tell you, it worked. And it got me to the point where I could then do the physical things I needed to do to try and relieve some of the pressure. And, in the immortal words of the yogic tradition, to put space between the bones of my spine once again. It's been going extraordinarily well. I have eased the pain and the discomfort by, I'm going to say 90%. I, stiffen up a little bit at night, that kind of thing. But I've got things that I do in the morning that kind of uncoil me, if you will. Now, I went on this retreat this past weekend, and I stayed in an Airbnb where I literally had a bedroom and a bathroom, and I had no place to do my meditations. So where we were having the retreat was at someone's house, a beautiful mansion on the water in Tarpon Springs, Florida. It's kind of on on a portion of the Gulf of Mexico there. We were right on the water with a 50-foot boardwalk out to a dock that was not very big, probably 15 feet by 15 feet, maybe 12 by 12. And I asked the people who owned the house, who were kind of hosting us at this retreat, I told them my situation with my room and a bathroom, and they were incredibly gracious and said, please come out here and meditate out here. So I did that. I'll tell you the story about that in a bit here, but I managed to do some modest exercise. I did some back extensions. I did some modified crunches. I did some push-ups. And I think one day I actually did 2 days. I think I actually did a plank and my meditation out there. And I was sitting for a good deal of the time, plus the fact there's a 4-hour plane flight either direction. So, which is a real test of my spine and in particular the sciatica. I really went through the entire weekend, for all intents and purposes, without pain. Nothing more than mild discomfort, if anything, which was really just, to me, it was a great testament to the work that I've been doing on trying to repair my spine. So I come home, I get home on Monday. Today is Thursday, by the way. We had a little technical difficulties on Tuesday when we normally do the podcast. I moved it to Thursday, and I think we might just stay on Thursday. We'll see where that happens. But if you're a regular watcher of the show, please plan on next Thursday. That's when I'll be here. So I get home on Monday, and I am zonked. It's really funny. I guess it's another function of getting older, if you will. Just as I've grown older, jet lag has become more of a thing in my life. I never really experienced it when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, it's a thing. And plus the fact I had very early morning flights both times, and which meant getting up really literally in the middle of the night to get to the airport. That probably didn't help my jet lag any. Probably didn't help it at all. But Monday I was zonked. Tuesday I get up and I did my power walk that I do 2 or 3 times a week. It's about an hour. Actually, it was less than it normally takes a little more than an hour. On Tuesday, I did it a little less than an hour because I was really cranking. I was pumping. And me being the stubborn mule that I am, I did not stretch or do any yoga afterwards. I just went about whatever the heck I was doing. And I wound up yesterday, Wednesday, very stiff, very sore when I got up in the morning. And I had Wednesday is pretty much traditionally a day where I don't really have an opportunity to exercise. And that's the way it unfolded yesterday as well. So I never did get to stretch or do any yoga yesterday either. So I was really kind of, I was hurting, not bad, but I was stiff and sore. The CBD relieved that dramatically. It was just an incredible relief as always, but still there was soreness there. So then fast forward to today. Today I got up and I did my normal meditation and I worked on my back, and I actually had a mild amount of pain and a little bit of soreness still in my back. But when I got up from my meditation, all of that was gone. Then I had a very, very good workout and lifted weights, mostly upper body stuff today. And I had my shakes and I had my more CBD, and I did lots of stretching and yoga. And I am really right now sitting in front of you here pretty much pain free. None of it's bothering me whatsoever. And there's lots of different pieces there. Okay. The exercise, the stretching, the yoga, those are huge. And I didn't do them yesterday. After having done work on Tuesday where I didn't stretch, I did nothing on Wednesday. Again, not stretching. The stretching and the yoga, I'm here to tell you, as we age, as we grow older, if you want to stay supple, you want to stay flexible, you want to stay strong, you absolutely have got to stretch. I've told lots and lots of people this. I told my neighbor this last night. She's having some issues with a hip replacement. And I told her about some of the stretches I do that stretch that whole area on the back of your leg, your hamstring, your glute, and then up your back. Those are this is a great stretch that I do. I someday I'll figure out how to do this, set this up so I can show you those things. But I showed her that stretch, and what I explained to her was what I've explained to lots of people. If you want to do something for your physical self, to improve your physical self, stretching, yoga, workouts, whatever, just go to almighty Google and Google stretches. Google stretches over 60. Google stretches for sciatica, stretches for degenerative disc disease. Whatever you want to know is out there, and you will almost always get more results than you could possibly give any attention to from now till the day you die. But there's plenty out there, is what I'm saying. So find the stretches that work for you. And I'll tell you another story that goes back a ways. When I first got sober in 1988, I immediately went back to something I had done as a teenager, and that was lift weights and exercise. I bought a Nordic track. That Nordic track is sitting directly across from me right now. It is. I have been sober for almost 33 years. That Nordic track is 30 years old. But I exercise became my new addiction as opposed to drugs and alcohol. And I was doing really, really well with all of that. And I got stronger. I built muscle. I felt really, really good. There was just one issue. I couldn't lift my arms past here because I was literally muscle bound. I couldn't run 50 feet because my legs just didn't do that. I was too tight to run. So a guy that worked for me in those days in a fundraiser that I was running, he was a martial artist guy, and he wanted to learn a little bit about lifting weights. And he said, "I'll be glad to teach you how to get rid of that whatever that is, that muscle bound thing." He said, "I'll be glad to show you how to get rid of that if you show me how to lift weights." We made a deal. Bottom line was he showed me how to stretch. And it's a lesson I never forgot. And I was, when he showed me how to stretch, I was probably right around, I would say probably 3 years, 2 years or 3 years into sobriety. It was a big deal for me to relieve that tension, if you will, in my body, and to be able to lift my arms. I mean, I had trouble doing like bench press, regular military presses, because I couldn't get my arms up, So that loosened everything up, and it taught me a lesson that lasted for the next 30 years. Until now, when I do some exercise and then don't bother to do my stretches. And I guess that's the lesson. That's what I'm trying to teach you here, is that the stretching is all important. There is nothing more important than yoga and stretching for keeping your body alive. It's if you want to live a long time, if you want to live healthy longer, if you want to continue to move, you have to continue to move. It's that simple. And stretching is part of that. And not to be repetitive, but as you get older, it becomes more and more and more important. We tend to spring back and recover a little bit more quickly when we're younger. As we get older, not so much. And stretching helps to facilitate that. So I guess that's the back update. I'm feeling really good. I haven't. Oh, yeah. I know I mentioned earlier when we were first talking about the back thing, my doctor kind of moved me off of aspirin and ibuprofen for pain. She just didn't want me doing them in particular. She moved me to Tylenol. Not a fan of Tylenols. Tylenol has its own issues. I mean, she was worried about liver damage from the NSAIDs, the aspirin and the ibuprofen, when we know that the Tylenol has its own issues with the kidneys. So I'm not a fan, but I was using it because that's what she told me to do for pain. It was never as good a pain reliever as either aspirin or ibuprofen. My choice is always aspirin in that regard. But the bottom line is I haven't taken anything for pain other than my CBD in a couple of weeks now. Excuse me. So the CBD is my answer. And touch base on the CBD for a minute. Just for those of you who are unfamiliar or are going, wow, I didn't know that's what CBD could do. In the early 90s, during studies on the effects of THC, tetrahydrocannabinol, which is the psychoactive ingredient or cannabinoid in the hemp and the cannabis plant, during those studies, they discovered that almost every single cell in your body has receptors for cannabinoids, for the ingredients basically of the cannabis plant. And they dubbed this system, or this complex system of receptors, as the endocannabinoid system. They also discovered that we produce cannabinoids in our own body in small amounts. Your first experience of cannabinoids was more than likely in mother's milk. But your body literally is waiting for this stimulant, or I shouldn't call it a stimulant, this stimulation by the cannabinoids to affect virtually every single system of your body. So the pain piece is almost a universal piece for folks. The relief of anxiety is almost universal, and better sleep. I experience all three of those things by using CBD. And in particular, I'm not a stressed out guy. If you know me, you know that. If you're watching me, you probably can get that. You can figure that. I'm just not a stressed out person. But let me tell you something. When I get stressed, I'm flipping stressed. And I have discovered that I take my 750 milligram CBD, one dropper full of that under my tongue, stress is gone like that, instantaneous. It has helped me sleep as long as I've been taking it. I've been using this particular brand of CBD for a year. I ran out of it at one stage just recently, back in April. I ran out of it. Just my beloved Lisa and I were headed to North Carolina before our shipment arrived. So I went to our local, our best trusted, if you will, grocery store or natural grocery store, where we buy all our vitamins and our supplements. Not all, but we buy a good deal of them there. And whatever ones I don't actually distribute myself, we buy a good deal of them at this particular health food store. They have just started carrying CBD. I bought a 1,200 milligram bottle of CBD. It was relatively inexpensive, and as always, you get what you pay for. I swear to you, it did nothing. But I think that just goes by way of explaining the wild, wild west of CBD that's out there right now. It's if it's not something that you can attach to it a third party validation, like all the CBD that I distribute is followed from seed to shelf, basically seed to oil to shelf. There is a validation of the concentration and the purity of each and every batch of CBD that we use for all of our products, not just for the tinctures, but for all the other things that we carry, the pet products, the skincare products, the hair care products, the gummies that we have, the coffee that we have, the topical creams that we have, all of those things, all of the CBD that's used in those products is third-party validated for purity and concentration, as I mentioned. So I guess that's just by way of explanation that all CBD is not created equal. And this is really, and I haven't used a lot of different CBDs. This is only the third one I've used. And the first one I used was, I liked it, but I really didn't get anything from it other than maybe a good night's sleep. I never really experienced it as pain relief. And I'll give you one more piece of the puzzle here. I'm kind of off on a tangent, but I have seasonal allergies and they can be pretty brutal sometimes. And I just went to North Carolina, where there's, I mean, it's springtime in North Carolina, full blown springtime in North Carolina. I mean, sorry, Florida. It's full blown springtime in Florida. It was also pretty close to springtime in North Carolina when I was there as well. But lots more plants, lots more pollen, lots more things to aggravate sufferers of seasonal allergies, and not like Colorado here, where we pretty much have pine trees and aspen trees, and the rest of it is all decorative that people put in. But we only have a couple of really, we have lots and lots of varieties of pine tree, but the only other tree I was trying to think of the name of the kind, the difference is it deciduous tree? I'm not sure. Is the aspen, which is a member of the birch family. So I've discovered that part of my seasonal allergies is really very much around pine pollen, because we have a pine tree right next to our patio here at our townhouse, and it's been brutal on me the last couple of years. So anyway, I went to Florida and North Carolina, where there's more pollen and so forth and so on. And I took my CBD with me, and I did, and I kind of use these two in tandem, just because of where I was, the 1500 milligram and the 750 milligram. And I have had literally no, I think no, no, come on, allergy medication, over the counter allergy medication. I've had none of that for also about 2 weeks, along with anything for pain, all because of the quality of the CBD and learning to use it for all of its benefits. So that's pretty amazing to me. It's a lifesaver in so many ways, because it allowing me to do the physical things, the stretching, the yoga, and the exercising of my back and my glutes, that's where your sciatic nerve kind of goes across and then down your leg. It actually goes with your piriformis muscle, and it's interesting. It's one of those oddball things. Your sciatic nerve can go through the piriformis nerve, or it can go under it, or it can go over it, which I just recently found out. It's one of those real things you can use as evidence that no two bodies are the same. That's for sure. So the CBD has just done wonders for me, and I can't. I don't want to make it into a sales pitch, but I just can't stress enough how much your body is waiting for this. You have this endocannabinoid system, and your body is waiting for the stimulation of that particular cannabinoid with the receptors on virtually every cell of your body. So that's that piece. That's the backup date. That's a long backup date. Another thing that came to me while I was at this retreat was, those of you who know, those of you who don't, here you go. I'm 70 years old, and there were lots of people at this retreat much younger than me, there was only one person older than me. And the people at this retreat were, by and large, they were pretty impressed with the fact that I'm 70 years old and I'm in the shape I'm in, and I take care of myself the way I do. I was up earlier than everybody to go do my meditation, so I could get it done before anybody else showed up. And so that was just more evidence of the fact that I'm vibrantly aging. That's what I'm doing. That's what vibrant living, vibrant aging is all about, is continuing to move and to take care of yourself and to feel good. But I also, even while I was away, I just want to run this piece by you all. I start every single day with a couple of things a couple of supplements for my health. They're all non-GMO organic supplements. One is for my gut health. One is for support of manly things, if you will. The prostate. It's for prostate support. But again, not medication. It's all natural stuff. And I wash that down with a green shake. Green shake is just it's a highly concentrated, again, non-GMO, organic, plant-based nutritional shake. It's not a protein shake. It's only got about 8 or 9 grams of protein in it. But that I start with that I have a little bit of an aloe product, and I have a scoop of a beet juice product that I love. Beet juice has the unique ability to um, drive nitric oxide through your system, which just literally facilitates oxygenating every cell of your body. And then I also add a very serious dose of plant protein that from a new plant protein source that I really, really, really love. And that's how I start every single morning before my coffee and my meditation and my prayer work and all of that. First thing I do is those couple of supplements and my green shake. After I work out, after I meditate, I work out. After I work out, I have a more serious shake, which is pretty much the same ingredients, but there's going to be half an avocado in there. There's going to be some apple cider vinegar in there. There's going to be another dose of the beet juice. There'll be another dose of the plant protein and just another scoop of the green drink. And that's going to go with my aminos that I've mentioned before on the show and several other things that I use for my own health for to make sure that I get um, a good dose to start my day. And boy, you know what is there's a guy that I met at the retreat, a young guy named Ross Falcone, who is an honor. So I'm not sure. It's really funny. I'm not sure if he and his wife pronounce the name Falcone or Falcone. I'm going to go with Falcone because that's I think that's the way it probably is pronounced. But anyway, Ross was somebody I met there. We had a great conversation around the just metaphysics, around the podcast, around just the different things that I'm doing, and he just joined us here on the show. And so Ross, thanks for being here. I'm glad to see you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the show. I'm talking about how I start my day with nutrition, exercise, and my meditation, and all of those things together I call DSP, daily spiritual practice. And I consider the exercise and the nutrition to be part of my spiritual practice because it's by virtue of embracing those things on a daily basis that I am. Uh, it's part of my growth as a spiritual being. It's part of who I am is those daily practices, and they're very important to me. So that's just another piece I wanted to give you. That's the idea of how I start my day, and just to finish that off, during the day, I just try to eat really really healthy. I have a horrible sweet tooth. I try very very diligently to stay away from sugar products. I don't do any dairy. I don't do well, I shouldn't say I don't do any dairy. I do a little bit of cheese once in a blue moon, and a huge treat maybe once a quarter is an ice cream cone somewhere. But by and large, I don't consume dairy on a daily basis. Don't eat any red meat, particularly if I do. It's going to be a buffalo steak, a bison steak, and it's going to be twice a year maybe. We eat mostly chicken and turkey and lots of fish. That's pretty much it. Lots of plants, lots of fruits, easy on the grains. My other bugaboo is pasta, and I've kind of cut back the pasta to maybe once a week as opposed to it was 3 or 4 times a week. At least I thought I was crazy because I love my pasta. But anyway, that's kind of that routine, if that matters to you one way or the other. So we went to this retreat this weekend, and as I said, I met this nice guy Ross who's joined us here. I met him at this retreat. Met some people that I had not known before. I'd only known through Zoom, which was really cool. It was a whole team thing for our direct selling group, and there were probably 8 or 10 people that I knew from previously before the pandemic. But the whole slew of those people that were there were close to 50 of us there, I believe, and there were the whole slew of people there that were people I had only known from Zoom. So it was really great to meet them, spend time with them. We had a fabulous retreat. We had lots and lots of education, training, but more than anything, we had a tremendous sense of family and being together. We had, as I mentioned, we stayed at this mansion. I'm loath to call it a McMansion, but it wasn't it's just a really, really, really big house. Lots of bedrooms, an incredibly loving place that I you just had to get the energy that there was nothing but love in this house. Belongs to two people named Jen and Phil. They've been married for 13 years. They have a tremendously blended family. I believe they each had three children from previous relationships. Then they have two of their own, and then they adopted a child. So they have 9 kids. And this is the first time, I think, they just recently acquired this house. They recently bought it within the last year. And it's the first time in the history of their relationship that they actually could have all of their family living under one roof. So there's lots of bedrooms, more bathrooms than you can count, and it's on the water. It has an absolutely incredible view, just a beautiful place. And as I said, filled with love energy. Everybody who was a participant in uh, this retreat just loved the feeling of the place. Phil, the husband, actually said to me at one point, he goes, "There's tremendous healing energy in this house." And I said to him at one point, or when he told me that, I said, it's hard for me to even get that feeling from the house because there's so much energy in it here with all of us here. But by the time the weekend was over, I actually totally got the healing energy of the house. And if it wasn't so much, I felt it myself, but even if I didn't feel it myself, it was in the healings that happened all around me that were more than just the sense of community that we're in, which was really very cool. So as I mentioned, they gave me the opportunity to meditate every morning at their house. So I was there at 7:30 every single morning, out on the dock, meditating. And it was really cool. I told you the dock is small. There's 2 Adirondack chairs out there, and I just sat in one of the Adirondack chairs, and I have music that I listen to for my meditation. But rather than put it in my earbuds, I just kind of turned it on, put it on the arm of the chair, and just let it play, and just enjoyed the sounds of the birds and not a lot of water sounds because it's really very calm over there. But I had my back to the east, so the sun was on my back as it came up, it was coming up, and I was facing to the west. And I don't know how far through my meditation, I had this big splash behind me, and I turn around. There's a dolphin right behind me, and it's in this little space between the dock I was sitting on and the dock next door, which was only about 25 feet away. And there was only about 4 or 5 feet of water in this area here. And this dolphin was there just for a split second, and it left. And as it left, I then noticed that to the right of me, to the north, was another dolphin just kind of swimming by. I noticed an interesting thing, something I had never known before. But the dolphin's tail goes laterally instead of horizontally like fish do. Dolphin's tail is horizontal, and it goes like this to swim. Well, as it goes like that and it's swimming near the surface, the fin also does that, goes up and down. And I thought to myself, wow, there's a great way to cure my fear of sharks. I always know if I see that fin, if it's bouncing up and down, it's a dolphin. If it's not bouncing up and down, get the hell out of the water. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So that was a visit by a dolphin, by 2 dolphins. The next day they came back. This next day the one that was 50 feet out went by 50 feet out, and you actually could tell which was which because they were different colors. One was very gray, one was very dark gray, and the dark gray one I could actually see to the west. I could see it coming towards me, and I could see the wake that it was producing as it swam towards me, and it was swimming right at me. So I got up and I stepped across the dock to the edge, to the western edge of it, and this dolphin literally swam right between my legs under the dock and back into that little 4 to 5 foot space. 4 to 5 foot deep space. Only this time, stayed for 10 minutes. And it was obviously fishing, but it was also kind of enjoying itself. It rolled a couple of times, or half rolled a couple of times. Some of the ladies who were at the retreat with me, they came out with their cameras and got some great videos of the dolphins. But it was really very unique because, as far as I'm concerned, there are few animals as important, if you will, as meaningful as the dolphin. And to have them come and visit me while I was meditating was really very special. That was very cool. So that was a piece there. That was very good. I had another thing. This is an interesting piece. This is a coaching piece. I heard several times talk of seeking the best version of yourself. And I instantaneously thought to myself, it's not something I want to do. It seems like a fool's errand. Because seeking the best version of yourself, it can be illusory. It can be kind of, you're seeking this best version of you. And how do you know when you got to the best version of you? And if you get to a point where you think, wow, this is the best version of me, well, is it time to climb into the hole and let it start throwing dirt on you? The best version of me is really, it's a moment by moment thing. I have always referred to it as seeking the next highest vision of me. Now, that's kind of a more gradual approach of who am I? Who am I becoming? What am I accomplishing as I'm becoming these things? Because there's a lot of things that we decide that we intend in this world that we cannot intend until we become the person who's worthy of achieving that intention or realizing that intention. So I thought about the idea that, the very best the version of me is almost sounds like an end game kind of thing. Like it's over. Where the next highest vision speaks to me in terms of what's next. Where am I going? Gives me an opportunity to be grateful along the way for who I am becoming. And to me, it's always about who I'm becoming. It's not about what I'm doing. You've heard me say this before. You are a human being, not a human doing. So who you are being and who you are becoming is always going to be more important than anything we're doing. That's for sure. And coupled with that is the universe's 24/7, 365 invitation to each and every one of us to be more. The universe is always inviting us to be more. And whenever we decide to accept that invitation, we instantaneously become more. Just simply in accepting the invitation, we become more. And as we pursue whatever the details were for us individually of that invitation, we then have the opportunity to become more and more and more, and always then seeking the next highest vision of who we're meant to be and what we're meant to do. So that's a great piece there. Hey, Josh, thanks for joining us, man. Great to see you here. It's another one of my business associates, Josh, and nice to have you join us. It's really funny, and he's commenting here. He's always struggled with the term best self. It's not a terminal condition; it's ongoing, is what he said, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Your best self should be. Your best self is whatever you've managed to embrace of your highest vision of yourself in each moment. I always believe that the best we will ever be, I think, hi, Cheryl, thanks for tuning in. Um, I think that best self may be that self that we are in that one final distinct moment when consciousness leaves the body and goes back to source. That may be our best self. The end. Period. The end. So that's my take on that. I think there's a when we talk about just one more piece of that, when we talk about seeking your best self, there's a thing there. There's a thing there that sounds like goals to me, and I have a real thing about goals. I've never been a goal writer. I just ever since I became conscious enough to contemplate these things. I mean, in my younger years and before sobriety, of course, my biggest goals were my next pack of cigarettes and my next bottle of vodka, and maybe my next spindle. But that's a whole nother workshop, right? The the idea of goals has always had a sports and competitive connotation to me, and I believe that the age of competition is dead and or dying, and that we are now living in a time when cooperation, collaboration is way more important, and co-creation is way more important than anything competitive. So I've always been more inclined to look at life from the perspective of intentions rather than goals. I also think that when we phrase it all or frame it all in the context of intentions, there's less of a sense of the fear of failure or maybe even fear of success that seems to accompany goals. Intentions are just, to me, they are maybe the blueprint, if you will, or the map of next steps. Where am I going? What's next for me to be and do? And then the other piece of that, I think, is that I think is really important, is that I want to be able to recognize, in the sense of those intentions, that whatever transpires, it's all leading to my intention. At its heart, every single thing that happens in my life is not happening to me, it's happening for me, and it all is compassionate and kind at its core. All leading to me, or to accompanying me, if you will, on that quest for that next highest vision of me. So there's an additional piece to that there, to the whole idea of the best version. I also had another thing that occurred to me that I shared with the entire group. It was a takeaway of mine. That was something that I had kind of come to a conclusion about 10 days or a week beforehand. And then things that happened during the course of the retreat really resonated with me and really reinforced the decision I had made. In particular, there were two women there. One of them, a dear friend, Eniko, who was talking about the idea of her ideas of social media and how she uses social media. And I know Eniko well enough to know that she has not done a whole lot of prospecting. She has built a very successful team, all by creating a brand where people are looking at the brand going, I want what she has. And then there was another young lady there, Mandy, and Mandy is someone I've been Facebook friends with for a very long time. And it just so happens we're in the same business now together, and we've never met. And we met at the retreat. And she was the one who said to me, God, we've been Facebook friends forever. And that really didn't register with me. She knew that. I didn't really know. But she did a whole training on social media as well, and the idea of branding. And we live in a time where it's an incredibly visual time. Everything is judged by what it looks like. And we all have our judgments on people and things according to how they look. Because let's face it, 80% of the information your brain processes comes in through your eyeballs. So if you're seeing things that are unpleasant, or things you've got a prejudice about, or things that please you, whatever they are, your brain processes them based on what your eyes see and what you come in, and then your own judgments or discernments, depending on whether or not you're in the positive or negative frame of mind, those take over and then determine what you're actually seeing. But Mandy talked about this brand thing and the ideas of really focusing your attention on your brand, on what it is you want to express to people. Part of my brand is this right here, is Vibrant Living, the Vibrant Living Hour. That's part of my brand. Vibrant living, vibrant aging. That's who I am. That's what I'm about. It's about the nutrition. It's about the CBD. It's about all of the products that I distribute, which are all a very select group of products that were meant to do specific things for us, to support our bodies, to support vibrant living, and support vibrant aging, and support my new favorite expression, to support compressed morbidity. Just a real quickie, that's kind of an aside. Compressed morbidity means compressing the amount of time that we spend at the end of our lives, in our final days of our lives, sick, decrepit, falling apart, medicated, bedridden, blah, 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 to be able to continue to move and do the things we love until we drop dead. I got all of that, by the way. You know, you've seen this book before, and I'll keep showing it to you and showing it to you. I got that idea of compressed morbidity came from this book, Growing Bolder. They did hundreds, I think thousands actually, of interviews with older people to find out what made them tick, what made them continue to tick. And one of the things was what I said earlier: if you want to keep moving, keep moving. And they had several examples of people who, one of them, if I have this right, or maybe I've mixed up two people, but it was a guy, it was an older man, and he was a championship bicycle rider in his age group, which was in the 90s. And they had scheduled an interview with him to talk to him, but they never got to do the interview because he passed away before they got to him. He passed away 3 days after winning another bicycle championship. That's compressed morbidity. Too often in this society, in our American culture, we have, you retire, you become complacent, you become sedentary, you get decrepit, you get disease, you die. That's not any kind of quality life that makes any sense to me. Retirement is retirement from a particular thing that you were doing. Doesn't mean you retire from life. Retire from a career, retire from a job. But then you just continue to do things, continue to move. Find a hobby, find an athletic endeavor. So many of these older people had athletic endeavors. That I found fascinating. I knew a guy in our spiritual community who was 79 years old and was the state champion in his age group for the bench press, which I don't think was a whole hell of a lot. I think it was 180 pounds. But 180 pounds that's bench pressing me. I lost touch with that older guy, but the truth of the matter is he was vibrant and alive and strong and many, many, many years retired from his career. So you retire from an activity or activities, if you will. But going back to what I was talking about around the young ladies at the retreat and the branding and the social media, I came to a realization, and I admitted this to the entire group on the last day of the retreat, that I love what I do. I love the companies I represent. I love the products I represent. I love making people feel better, look better, and perform better. I love helping people lose weight. I love helping people detoxify their bodies. I love people recognizing that the vast majority of your health is influenced almost entirely by what you put in your mouth. I love working with people on that level. And hi, Sylvia. I'm thrilled that you joined us today. Thank you very much. And I will answer your Facebook friend request today, I promise. But what I admitted to the group was, I love what I do, which I just said, and I am really attempting to be very successful at what I do. The unfortunate part for me is I am trying to be successful at what I love by doing things I can't stand to do. And that has to do with and please don't take this as a criticism if you're, network marketing is built around recruiting. Network marketing is built around prospecting and having people and getting people to join you as customers or to join you as affiliates or whatever it is. And it's an extraordinary model. It's a great model, helping God only knows how many tens of thousands of people every single year. But for me, I don't like doing it. I don't like prospecting. And also, let's understand this. I'm 70 years old. If you're 40 or 45 or 50 or 35 and you're like in the prime of your work mode, you want to work your butt off or do whatever you got to do to be as successful as you can possibly be. And there's a lot of things that you can sacrifice to do that. I'm not willing to sacrifice a whole lot at 70 years old. One of my favorite lines from all of music is Bonnie Raitt. Life gets mighty precious when there's less of it to waste. I don't want to spend my time prospecting. I want to spend my time doing what I enjoy, helping people. So the flip side of all of that for me was this: build my brand, do things visually, because again, we live in a visual world. Do videos, do my podcast, do Facebook Lives, do Zoom meetings with people who are looking for help as opposed to telephone calls. To just simply step back and become successful at what I love by doing things I love. Now, maybe that relates to you, maybe it doesn't. But whether you're in my world of direct selling or not, stop and think about that. What are you doing in the world, and how much of what you're doing to be a success are things that you love? And how many of those things are things that you can't stand? Now, I understand, some of us have to do things that we can't stand to make a living, to make money, to pay the rent. I get that. And I'm not telling you to quit your job and go off and sit on top of a mountaintop and contemplate your navel. But what I am saying is, find something else to do with yourself. Not necessarily quit and find something else to do. Just find something else to do. I do every Wednesday morning. I have a meeting with the Optimist Club. Optimist Club is an organization of people, and it's interesting that almost all of them are retired, that are totally focused on helping kids. We offer scholarships. We offer contests for kids um, to hone their skills at writing, at speaking. We support I'm never going to think of the initials now. That's funny. Some things and they just go out of your head when you need them. But the high schools have programs that are focused um, on certain aspects of logical thought, basically constructing things. There's one group that builds a race car every year, that every year it has to have certain specifics to it. It has to be solar powered. It has to do this, that, and the other thing. And then they have to construct it from scratch. They have to build it in thought and then in reality. They support that. But it's a great opportunity to give to the community and to be active in the community and to do something that you love if you're doing it. Now, there are other organizations out there. There are plenty. There's so many. They're always called fraternal organizations, but there's lots more women joining them these days than there have ever been in the past. So it's not so much a fraternity as it is a fraternal and sorority type thing. And I don't even know if those are the appropriate words for that. But we have lots of women in our Optimist group. Let me put it that way. And they're focused on whatever they're focused on. So many of them are focused on kids and the next generations, which is, I think, extraordinary. I think we really need that right now, because we have, well, it's a whole nother workshop as well. We've created a world that is that's a mess. Let me put it that way. We've created a world that's a mess, and younger people are really, really clear. They don't want anything to do with the mess that we've created. But the flip side of that is they're not so terribly sure about what it is that they do want to do that will be more resonate with them and who they are and their lives. And I think that's a role for the older generations, to help them along the path of figuring that out. Not telling them what to think or how to think, just telling them you can think and you can change this. You can envision a new world and create that new world if that's what you choose to do. So there's that piece there. I was going to do something today. I really wanted to do this. A friend of mine on Facebook posted the first couple of lines of a quote from Marianne Williamson's first book, A Return to Love. And it's in my book, the page is marked with just a sticky note flag that says the quote. And it's Marianne's most famous quote. And it's something, it's a lesson actually unto itself. And I think maybe I'll just save this for the next show. But it's the quote that begins, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is one of my favorite quotes in the world. Years ago, there was controversy around it. I'll talk about that, but we'll cover that next week. And I think we're going to move the show now permanently to Thursday from Tuesday. So every Thursday at 3:00 in the afternoon Mountain Time. I hope you will join me. I have absolutely failed miserably at putting up some of the other things. That's what happens when people join you on the show and you want to greet them and say things to them. Here at the bottom here, you will see my Facebook page that my beloved Lisa and I have branded as Vibrant Aging. We're going to change that actually to Vibrant Living, Vibrant Aging. That you can find me there. You can also you can email me, Ken at newthoughtmedia.org. That's ntmedia.org. And let's see, what do we got? Last but not least here, we got, you can also email me at teamrockitnow@gmail.com. So that's and one other thing here, I do want to put this crawl up across the screen if I can find it, and there it is. Please, we are a nonprofit organization. We're a 501c3. Your donations are tax deductible. Go to ntmedia.org and click on donate. And we're thrilled and grateful for every single donation that we get. Doesn't matter how much, doesn't matter how big or how small. We're just absolutely thrilled to get those contributions to us. So, and what do we have here? Joshua said, we need more people in this world that do what they are passionate about. Passion is driven by love, and passion promotes change. Thank you for sharing your passion, Ken. Josh, thank you very much. And that's, you know what? That's you just said in a paragraph what it took me a whole show to say. It's about passion. It's about purpose. It's about doing things that really fulfill us as individuals, that make us feel good. And here's a piece. Let's tie feeling good to vibrant living and vibrant aging. When you feel good, when the things that you're doing in life fulfill you and make you feel good, you get that whole flood of endorphins, of positive chemicals through your body that literally make you feel better physically. And then your body, acting as your subconscious mind, says a signal back to your brain, hey, if you want us to continue to feel this way, send more of those endorphins. And your brain, of course, obliges. And now you're flooding your body with these positive hormones. And these positive hormones do what? They promote your health. And they also promote the more positive expression of your genes. So you are literally, when you're doing things that make you feel good, you are literally promoting your life, promoting your physical life, staying alive longer, living healthier longer. I don't know if there's anything more important than that in the entire planet. So we're going to call it a day here. As always, I'm just so immensely grateful for the great gift of your time and your attention. You could be doing lots of other things, and I'm just thrilled that you're here with me. I really wish you all the love and blessings that the universe has to offer. I'll be back with you next Thursday at 3:00 Mountain Time. I hope you will join me then. Until then, have a magnificent rest of your day. I love you all. See you later, and namaste.